Hello there, everyone. My name is Corona, and I'm joined today with the lovely as ever OmaZen.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast.
Yes, our first episode of the season is also on one of my favorite days of the year, Pi Day, which is fitting. I'm hosting because WPI. Um, you know, uh, hope everyone who's listening had a slice of pie or something today. OmaZen, would you like to grace the viewers with the lovely events that have happened to you today?
Oh, yeah, no, so we had a bit of a scare for a little while. My internet decided to go out this morning, um, and I'm typically the producer for the podcast. And unfortunately, no one else was available to kind of cover. So I was going to, put everything on tonight, help make sure the show ran. And I wake up and there's no internet. And I'm like, oh, shoot, this is really bad. So we came really close to having to postpone, but fortunately, the internet just decided to magically work again for no particular reason. So we're just gonna run with it. It's Pi Day, so maybe something came together because of that, or also fell apart because of it. You never really know. But yeah, I had a little bit of an adventure today.
Let's hope that all the podcast stuff this episode was the pre-stream stuff that doesn't need to be shown tonight. But
definitely not.
So, again, welcome everyone to the first in-season episode of the podcast that's covering CCA League Season 5. It is great to be back. We have some great stuff for you tonight, and we have very exciting kind of segments and stuff for the future of these episodes in the weeks for the CCA season. So kind of an overview of what's happening tonight. As always, we're going to start with some quick CCA announcements. We're then going to be talking about the divisions placements and talk about some of the standout teams that are in each division and some of the groups to keep your eye on. We then have the lovely opportunity to talk to Abby and Small from Savannah College of Arts and Design, who has their first CCA League season this season, Season 5. So they're supporting 3 different teams, so we have the lovely opportunity to sit down with them tonight and to talk about their program and what to expect from their teams this season. We will be ending this episode talking about some of those pivotal matches to look for in Week 1 and some of the and talking about the stream schedule that's coming up for this weekend as well. So without further more, let's increase the counter and get started with this episode. So let's first talk about fantasy. Once again, CCA Fantasy is back for Season 5. For those of you who are new, is very much your typical fantasy, where fantasy minigame where you pick some of the teams and you pick a team for each division that you think is going to go far or win the division, and you'll be getting points for those for that pick throughout the entire regular season. So as always, you can pick one team for each division, those being 6 divisions this season. And then Snow has added some lovely new questions to this forum this season. Mainly, what team do you think has the best name, and how many specials do you think will be used this season, and the weapon with the highest win rate, courtesy of Hoken's Stacks Repository. So fantasy is always a fun thing to do and to keep your eye on. I think we had, I want to say like 40 people in it participated in it last season. So it is always a great community building exercise as well. The forum for that will close tonight at midnight EST. So if you want to participate and join along, please fill out that form in the next 4 hours or so. So yeah, passing it along to you, OmaZen.
Yeah, just really quickly on the note of fantasy. Unfortunately, last season I missed out on being able to participate just because I completely lost track of time. But this time I'm going to remember, and I'm going to fill it out in time. So I encourage you all to join me in submitting our last-minute fantasy brackets so that we can have a bit more fun with it and get some more competition going. Kind of moving along though with the CCA. We are once again bringing back the Tailgate Cookbook, this iteration being the Chump Change edition, if you just so happen to be having some, student loans keeping you down. But fortunately, we have this here for you. So the recipe submission form for it is going to be actually available right now. It's became live a little bit ago. And you're able to submit a recipe of yours that is under $20. That's kind of the catch with this one, since we're running with that Chump change name. It can be anything, so that can be snacks, appetizers, entrees, desserts, drinks, and everything in between. The CCA Tailgate Cookbook Chump Change is a continuation of the Tailgate Cookbook project, and this time has a focus with chefs on a budget. This cookbook will be released to the community before the CCA Season 5 Division playoffs. So look forward to that, and put in some recipes if you know any, especially, if it fits into that under $20 limit. Krona, any kind of thoughts on that?
Well, submit as many recipes as you want, I believe. Frosty loves to go through them all with such great detail and description. But yes, no, definitely participate. It was a lot of fun to see the unique things people were cooking up with this cookbook last season, and I'm excited to maybe try some of these in the future once this cookbook gets published again. So I'll probably look to submit something, as should you, OmaZen, if you wish.
Yeah, definitely. If I can think of anything, I definitely will. I will admit I'm not the biggest baker or cooker myself, but sometimes there might be a fun recipe to add in, so I'll definitely be considering it myself, as should everyone else, hopefully.
Yeah, I did put both those links into the Twitch chat for ease of access for those of you who are following it there. Moving on, Hoken has a stats update. Reading from Hoken himself, there's now a mobile version of the visualizations, as long as an option for colorblind friendliness mode. If you are interested, please open a ticket with Hoken to learn more details. These options may require downloading an app on your device to view. So thank you. Hoken now wants to thank the two teams who have already uploaded their stats for those two matches that have already occurred. He very much appreciates your help, and hope that their information is useful to you all. Following on to the general stats stuff, if any of you have any interesting ideas for stats to be reported or shown, please let Hoken know in the feedback form linked on Hoken's website and in his Discord bio. For those of you who are missing the previous public stat sheet, Hoken says that there is a public Google Sheet is on the way for this season, so keep in tune for that. Additionally, the stats bot still remains the best way to upload stats. I believe there is a channel specifically in League Season 5 that details kind of how to use it and some of the Q&A questions about it. However, if that doesn't help, please feel free to reach out and make a ticket to Hoken if need be, using the open tickets feature in the CCA Discord, and a staff member will help you with that. So we are very excited to be collecting stats now for the third season in a row, and we're hoping that you all are excited for the new stats innovations that are coming with Hoken and his stats team. So, yes, if you haven't already, go check out Hoken's website, because he's been cooking up some really cool stats visualizations in the last month or so. And if you haven't looked at it since middle of Season 4, a lot has changed, and you really should kind of poke around and see what's been added in the cool ways there are to dissect the information from this league. So yeah, feel free to give the stats a look. So that is all the announcements we have for tonight. So with that, let's start talking about some of the division placements and discussing a little bit further. So let me hopefully try to share my screen here. All right.
The screen has been shared, and in just a second, it will also be shared to you all watching as well. Boom. There we go. All right.
Perfect. That's Division 5. We're not there yet.
Oops. Division 6.
So, I'm sure everyone was there or most people there for the reveal show where DRF and Mizuno walked through these divisions and talked about all the teams that are there. OmaZen and I wanted to personally kind of go through this and pick out some teams to really spread a little bit of a spotlight on here, and to keep your eye on for the season. And we'll start with Division 6, go all the way through Division 1, and also we're going to be we also have our personal opinions on what the most interesting competitive groups will be here. So we're all gonna be looking at these web pages for the next 7, 8, 9 weeks. So let's get some familiarity with some of the teams here. And what better way to start than Division 6, which is the group for new teams and new universities that are participating here in the CCA. So some teams I wanted to personally highlight myself. And when I look at this list, they're actually all not new universities, but secondary or third teams from some universities that I still think are quite notable to shout out. Those being the Axolotls of Athens, which is University of North Carolina's Greensburgs. I believe that this is their third team. A lot of these players have had previous CCA experience. And while they still may be in Division 6 here, I think they can make a really good kick up a good storm in their group. It'll be really exciting to watch them. Additionally, I think you all would want to keep your eye on Sun God Squad. Sun God Squad it's UCSD's third team, and they just barely missed playoffs in Division 6 last season, losing to Table Chirp and oh man, I forget the other one. Oh my god, my encyclopedic knowledge is starting to slip. Regardless,
Dang.
they are running it back here in Division 6, and they are definitely a big contender to go far here and to kick some up. OmaZen, who do you have your eye on here too?
Yeah, so Division 6, I feel like, can get overlooked at times, since, it's historically been the lowest CCA League division, and it's where a lot of beginners kind of start. However, despite that, I think there are a lot of interesting developments that have been occurring over the past season or two, and we're going to potentially see some big notes in different teams' stories occur. So, for instance, you mentioned them just a minute ago too, but the Sun God Squad, I think, is probably going to be making a lot of noise this season. Last season in CCA Season 4, they placed third in their group, which is pretty notable. However, they were not able to make the final playoffs still. And recently in Snow Cali 2024, they won 1 out of 5 of the sets they played, which, although in the grand scheme of things isn't a giant win necessarily, it's still somewhat notable considering the teams that showed up there. So with everything kind of there to consider, and within the context of Division 6, I think the Sun God Squad, with their previous history, will be able to potentially make it to finals this season, and as a result of that, move up from their current division in Division 6. So I think they're a team to look out for. They're also just a fun and kind of silly group of gamers too, so you can't go wrong with that. And secondly, I want to highlight another team, that being Ferris State Splatoon. Now, what makes them notable, to me at least, is that they have never played, at least according to the notes we received from them and our own research doing seeding. Teams that have never played can very quickly go one of two ways. They can either just destroy the competition, and it turns out that they're all just super good. Maybe they've never really touched Splatoon that much, but they're big into other sort of shooter games. Or B, they might struggle a little bit. They might get some wins here and there, but nothing too crazy, I guess, in the grand scheme of things. But I think that Ferris State Splatoon is probably a team to look out for, with this context of we don't really know what they've done before, and it's definitely worth considering checking them out and just seeing what they cook up.
Yeah. Division 6 is always one of the most fun divisions to watch just because of how unpredictable things are, both with the players that are there, the weapons they pick, and just how things develop. There's always shockers behind every corner here. I think one more team I want to shout out here is Auburn Navy, which was a previous Division 5 team that dropped down. That being said, their Division 5 group was absolutely stacked. So I really am excited to see how they fare here with some teams that are more closer around their skill level and to see them develop further as a team in this environment. I think for me, I'm most excited to follow the happenings of Group 2 here, as I think there's a lot of it's a good mix of like notable third teams and second teams from some schools with the Ohio State University, North Carolina Greensburg, and Long Beach, but also some newcomers with the Gluga Gugas and the Llamas. So I think it's going to be very entertaining to see kind of these teams develop and the happenings that occur here. OmaZen, what group do you have your eye on here?
Yeah, personally, I have my eye on Group 4, which to some of you might be a little bit interesting because the two teams I chose to shout out are not in Group 4. Sun God Squad's in Group 1, and the Ferris State Splatoon is actually Group 4. So actually, I take that statement like partially back, only partially because I was half wrong. But Group 4 is particularly interesting to me, mostly because of kind of the theming we see going on here. I'm a big fan of personality and kind of what teams rep. And if you're looking at what's going on there, we got Let's Get Kraken, we got Krakens, we got Gator Eats Squids, we have Gators going on. So there's a lot of chaos there. A lot of teams with a lot of history, some new faces too. And I think overall it might be a more a larger division in contention. Some of the other groups might have some teams that will lean a bit more towards potentially sweeping, but I think Group 4 has a lot more unknowns, in my opinion.
Completely fair. It is exciting to watch things when the circles of suck come around and things get complicated. So Division 6 will certainly be a show this season. Would you like to talk about your Division 5 teams, OmaZen?
Yeah, definitely. I can start us off for Division 5. So Division 5, much like Division 6, can be kind of a little bit all over the place at times. Sometimes you'll have some huge surprises, and sometimes you might just see a surprise team sweep completely. So, who I'm particularly looking out for here is Money Mindset from Villanova University and Cosmonautilus from Utah Technical University. Cosmonautilus has quite the history based on our like seating notes and whatnot. As I pull that up right now, they were able to have a lot of good wins in Entrance Exam 3 against teams that are in their division or around their skill level. For instance, DPU C-Frames, they went 2-0 in CCA Entrance Exam 3. They went 2-0 against Drexel Gold. They did have some other losses, though, against Calamari and Crimson Calamari as well, which were all teams that are generally around their skill level. So we see kind of a lot of different, like a lot of balance, I guess, there. And I think that they can pull through with the right amount of practice and work to ultimately prevail in Division 5. And then when it comes to Money Mindset, I will admit I partly came to this team just on their name alone. I always kind of lean towards the silly, goofy teams. So what was a bit more interesting to me, though, is that in CCA Division 4 Division 5, last season in Season 4, they went 3-2 in groups, which is nothing to scoff at all. That's a positive win ratio. So I think assuming they're putting in the right amount of work and effort, much like Cosmonautilus, they can pull through and make it to the CCA bracket stage and potentially make some noise there. Krona, do you have any thoughts on teams here yourself?
Yeah, before I go to that, I also want to note that Money Mindset, the team from Villanova, I don't think they have the record, but they were caught in so many Game 7 matches last season in that group in Division 5. Something like 2 or 3, I believe, of their matches the full distance. So, like you said, this is a team with good Division 5 experience. It is going to be very exciting to see them run it back here and see where they can develop. Speaking about teams with good Division 5 experience, look at that segue. Clark Coy and Undertow Dartfish are two of the teams I really much have my eye on. These were two teams from Division 5 Group 2 from last season, with Clark Coy being the second seed out of it, and Undertow being the third. Clark Quarry getting out first round of playoffs. Don't remember who was. I mean, it might have been Bull Sharks. Man, my season 4 knowledge is really leaving me. Regardless, these are two very experienced Division 5 teams that everyone should have their eyes on to see how they develop. Clark Coy is that first seed in Group 1. Undertow Dartfish is that first seed in Group 2. So let's see how they can handle Division 5 with some new newcomers and some still friendly faces around there as well. Speaking about newcomers to Division 5, let me talk about the Table Troop. This being UMass, College of Maryland, University of Maryland College Park second team. Got it there. And they made it to Division 6 playoffs, and hence they moved up here. This is a great team to watch and exciting to root for here, and let's see if they can run it there in Group 2. Speaking about Group 2, I think I initially had Group 3 as my most competitive group, but kind of looking at some of those teams in Group 2, Table Troop, Ivory, Shugs, some of the Bull Sharks there, I think that is going to be an exciting group to watch and see really develop the season in Division 5. A lot of good talent there, a lot of new faces that can pull up some wild upsets. So that's my vote for the most competitive group this season. What about you, OmaZen?
I think I might disagree a little bit when it comes to Division 5. In my opinion, Group 1, I think, has at least when it comes to results, the most competition amongst them all, in general at least. For instance, if we look at Clark Coy, who is currently leading the top of Group 1 in Division 5, they have a lot of history with the CCA. They've been playing since Season 2, where they were in Division 5 and had some good results there. In Season 3, they went down to Division 6. However, they got a lot of good results there, and because of that, were able to get bumped up to Division 4 last season. And they had some decent results there as well. This season, they're in Division 5, much like they were in Season 2. However, over the past few months, they've been playing in some tourneys and getting some decent results, considering their general skill level. So I think they can make a lot of noise and continue to cause some, a little bit of havoc in their division. Much like that, Money Mindset, like I mentioned earlier, is a team to look out for. A-State Black is another great team within their division, as well as DPU C-Frames and Cosmo Nautilus. And then finally, Chaotic Inc., or Chaotink, I guess however you want to pronounce that. Much like, Much like Ferris State Splatoon, they do not have any explicit comp history. So they're kind of a wild card that I think will be interesting to watch and see what they can pull off. So personally, I'm going to be looking at Group 1 the most.
Do you know what school Chaotic is from, OmaZen?
I think they're from Houston.
They are. Houston is sporting 4 teams this season. They are putting DePaul, they're giving DePaul a run for their money.
Oh, wow.
Chaotic is their lowest one. I believe one player there has some outside comp experience, but most of them are newer or less skilled players in comparison to the other Houston players. So, one of the major notes I have leading into this season is kind of University of Houston bringing a lot of new players and a lot of new teams into it, similarly to how we saw like VCU and PSU from last season. So it's going to be very exciting to see how the University of Houston teams as a whole do throughout the season. So, as we climb up here, I'm sure we'll run into a few more. But yes, it'll be very exciting to watch that group and that team develop further as well. Moving on to Division 4, let me talk to you about one of my new favorite teams, GMU Academy. GMU Academy is George Mason University's second team. They were Division 4 last season, I believe going 2-3 off the top of my head, or maybe slightly less than that. Regardless, they become one of my new favorite teams just because of how much they have put into working in the off-season. I see you all grinding scrim circuits. I very much appreciate the turnout there. And I'm very excited to see how they fare here this new Division 4. I think they will go far. and I am excited to see some of their matchups, specifically against Nautical, Spirality, and OU Academy B in particular. The other two teams I want to highlight are MSU's Casual Conches and RIT's Tiger Prawn. These being kind of the second team from MSU and RIT respectively within the season. And I think both of these schools are very interesting to watch as they develop. Jumping back a little bit to my Houston point, RIT also went through a huge development, taking one team and splitting it into three. So it's going to be very interesting to see those players that were previously on that one team start to train some of the newer ones as well and see how far they can get.
Yeah, that's awesome.
MSU is always interesting to watch how they what they pull out for some of these matches, and I think MSU is kind of due for a big breakthrough with some of their lower level teams this season too. In comparison to PSU, their MSU's lower level teams didn't do as well last season, but I think that very much could change this season as well. So those are the three teams I really have my eye on. What about you, OmaZen?
Yeah, personally, there are two teams I'm going to be looking out for the most as we start off Division 4 of the CCA League Season 5. I'm going to be looking at Red Beak Splatoon, first off, from Illinois State. They have a decent bit of history. They've been in the CCA for quite a few seasons already. I believe this is their third season overall, if I'm not mistaken. It might be their fourth season. But over entrance exam, they've had some decent results against teams like the Goomies and Splatlanders, which have since risen up quite a bit. Splatlanders, for instance, is now Division 2. So that's nothing to scoff at all. In CCA Division 4, they were Division 3, so this season they got bumped down a little bit, although they did not do bad at all last season, getting third in their group for the group stage overall. So just barely missing the bracket level of the last season. And then during LSL the past few months, they've been getting some decent results. So I think that Red Beak Splatoon is a team that everyone should be trying to take note of and keep an eye on, especially now that since they have their sister team, which we might go into a little bit later. Next off, I also want to note Farmingdale Esports. Farmingdale's been with us, much like Red Beak Splatoon, for quite a while now. I believe they had their first season in Season 3 of the CCA, and since then they've had quite the interesting comp journey, starting all the way from Division 7 back during that first league of theirs. And since then, they've been performing pretty well, getting some good results in entrance exams, for example, and also just performing well overall in the tournaments they've been playing in. So congrats to them for kind of making it here to Division 4 and rising up the ranks gradually. And I'm going to go ahead and move us over to the particular group to watch too, if you don't mind, Krona. In particular, I think we should be looking at Group 4, and that has my two GOAT teams, Farmingdale and Red Beak. Although there are also some really other strong powerhouses there too. We have UGA Red, which has been, I believe they already had their first match already earlier this week, and I believe they won it, if I'm not mistaken. They're already...
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no. Assuming I'm not mistaken, they're already on a good roll. Siberian Cyber Squids, or historically they were the Cyber Hounds, I think it was. They've been a pretty strong team overall, so I think that's another team to watch out for. I was mixing up Siberian Squids and Moravian Cyber Squids. But those are both two notable teams that we should be keeping an eye out on. And then finally, the Casual Conches from Michigan State University. I believe this is kind of a hybrid of a few of their past teams that they've had. Each season, Michigan State typically kind of shuffles their teams around a little bit just to see, I guess, who wants to play with who and like kind of what works the best and just to have some fun overall. So I think they're also a team that I will personally just be keeping tabs on moving into this season. Krona, which group do you think is going to perform the best or be the one to look out for more so?
I'm a little bit biased as it does have the second WPI team, but I do think Group 2 is going to be a very competitive group to watch. She Sharp Major, Grisco Union Busters, Champlain's second team that's been grinding the offseason and producing some quite good results. You have Cal Poly's Tentacoolers that I believe just missed playoffs last season in Division 4. Combine that with a new PSU team and a Division 5 playoff team of the High Rollers. I think this is going to be a beautiful group to watch develop throughout this entire season, and it's going to lead to some wonderful results from these teams here. So that is the group that I have my eye on most to watch. Yeah.
All right.
So
yeah. I guess we may as well move on to Division 3 in that case. Yeah.
Would you like to start?
Yeah, I can go ahead and take us through this here. So Division 3, I think, might be one of the most interesting divisions overall. There are a lot of different teams here with a lot of CCA history and comp experience overall that are looking to kind of take that next step and break into potentially Division 2, maybe even Division 1, depending on how well they play and how much noise they can make. For instance, we have Stu from Purdue. As I'm from Purdue, I like to cheer on my Purdue teams a lot, and I think Stu in particular is one to really look out for. This past entrance exam, although they had the benefit of Walk's backline of Pisto, they were able to ultimately get, I believe, 8th overall, which out of like around somewhere around 100 teams participating in this past entrance exam, that is a pretty good achievement right there, if you ask me. They had some surprising upsets in Entrance Exam 3 as well. So I think that Stu's going to be a team that I think everyone should be keeping their eyes on. I think that Purdue is kind of seeing a resurgence after a lot of our teams like kind of gradually building themselves up the past year or two. I think we'll start to see some really interesting and exciting results from those teams. And then secondly, I wanted to highlight the Goomies. This might be some personal bias here, but I think that the Goomies potentially were a contender for Division 2 even. But I think in Division 3, they're going to be able to potentially sweep and go to the playoffs. Just shouting out my teammates from Wet Laundry on the side there. The Goomies are going to, not the Goomies are going to, but the Goomies recently brought on a new fourth, who has a lot of solo queue experience and comp experience, not exactly just with the VCU teams. So I think that they're going to cause a lot of havoc in this division and potentially get a really easy sweep into the finals. But that just might be my bias again. Krona, what do you think is going to happen in Division 3, and which teams are you looking out for?
Yeah, no, Division 3 is certainly going to be a show this season. I first want to shout out the Golden Barracudas from Kutztown University, a previous Division 3 team last that just barely missed playoffs in Group 3. Once again, they have been grinding in CSCs and just been around in an active force in the community. And I think they're going to be very interesting to watch go against some of the teams that are coming from lower divisions that don't necessarily have that Division 3 experience just yet. Let's see if they can go to the distance. They have a wonderful roster and some really good players, including a Division 3 All-Star player of McDonald Lover from last season. So it's going to be very interesting to see them develop and how they handle that first seed in Group 4. The other team I want to shout out is the Bull Sharks Black Tips. The Bull Sharks were a Division 5 playoff team from last season. And they got so many new players that they split their roster into two, with the Black Tips being their first team, the higher team up here. And they have been quite a force to reckon with recently, sporting some very impressive CSC results in Pop Quiz. This is a team I'd very much keep your eye out, and I am expecting some very chaotic stuff from them and Golden Barracudas from Group 4. That being said, Group 4 is not my group to watch out for most, the most competitive group. That award goes to Group 1, which is going to be quite a hectic battle in the slightest. You have both the Stu teams, KSU, you have Berkeley there, with UC Davis's third team, and another University of Houston team as well. that is quite a competitive and stacked group, in my opinion. And these matches are going to be wonderful to see. Eventually we will get that Stu versus Stu match later in week 5. But even before then, it is going to be wonderful to see this group develop and all the competitive Splatoon that comes out of it. What about you, OmaZen? What do you have your eyes set on?
Yeah, I'm going to agree. And I think this is the only group we agreed on, if I'm not mistaken, which, if you really look at the past podcast things, me and Krona disagree quite a bit. We just maybe aren't fighting about it on camera that much. But yeah, Group 1, I have to completely agree. There are a lot of teams with a lot of experience and backing behind them. We have Back to the Barnacle, for instance, from University of Houston. We have Stu from Purdue. We have one of DePaul's strongest teams being Ink Stu. We have the KSU Wild Sharks showing up, and Egg Spaghetti from Berkeley. There are a lot of just teams, like I've mentioned earlier, that are looking to try to take that next step into the higher divisions and are hoping to make this season that season to make that happen. So I think we're going to be seeing a lot of rivalries here potentially form, and just a lot of good competition overall. And like Krona, you mentioned, I'm really looking forward to the inevitable Stu versus Stu match. I really hope we can get that streamed, assuming people's schedules sign up for it. But yeah, that's what I'm looking at for Division 3.
I think that happens in actually Exam 2. It definitely happens before. I don't remember exactly when, but that's going to definitely be a spectacle and a great thing to hopefully cap the regular season off with.
Yeah.
Moving on to Division 2, OmaZen, would you like to talk about your teams?
Yeah, so Division 2 is much like Division 3, a very interesting division where this season in particular, we have a lot of teams who, like last season, for instance, made quite the showing and really proved themselves to move up. So, for instance, we got like Creamed Corn, who was Division 3 last season. Now they're Division 2 due to some of their results from last season. And in particular, I really want to highlight the Splatlanders. Last season, they got Division 4 and caused a lot of havoc. They got a lot of great results. In Entrance Exam 3, they went 2-1 against the Reef Runners, which is a historically very strong CCA team. They also went 2-1 against Creamed Corn and 2-0 against CSULB Black. And in Division 4, in Season 4, they were Division 4. So they ultimately scored second place there. They were completely undefeated in group stages, and with the results they were able to get last season, it seemed to make the most sense to like really challenge them and see what they can do here in Division 2. And I'm really excited to see what they can pull off. And that's going to be one of the most interesting, relatively new teams that I think everyone should be checking out. Secondly, I want to note MSU's Foreign Acrylion, formerly most of the team from Foreign Acrylion was from MSU Camp Juice, which was also Division 2 last season. Overall, as a squad, they don't have too much experience playing with all 4 of them together, although you do have veteran members such as San and Nick playing with them. So if you recognize those names, I'd suggest checking them out. Even if you just want to see what MSU has been cooking up regardless, I think they're a team to check out. And yeah, that's what I'm going to be in particularly looking for. Krona, who are you checking out this season?
No, I have a lot of thoughts on Division 2 as I'm captain of one of the teams here.
Yeah.
But there's a lot going on in Division 2. It's going to be very fun to develop. Before I even get started, I just want to give a shout out to Champlain Cerulean and Towson Tigerfish for, I believe, having the second highest CCA division jump in history, going from Division 5 last season to Division 2 this season. I also wanted to highlight 2 brand new teams, the CCA, that I think are going to make huge waves here in Division 2, that being SplatSCAD Black Team and HLG Clearly. SplatSCAD Black has been everywhere these last few months. participating in so many non-collegiate tournaments, whether that be from the Ink Up, SOS, or low ink runs as well, and they've done exceptionally well and have been a force to be reckoned with. This is their introduction. This is their first season here as a CCA competitor in the league, and I think everyone has their eyes on them to see what they can bring to the table. HLG has been a new team that's kind of been on the up and up for the last month. They participated in a ton of scrim circuits so far. They participated in the California only events that DRF has run, and they have just been going back to back with some teams climbing up this skill ladder and have shown that they deserve this Division 2 placement already. So I think it's going to be very interesting to watch these two new teams develop. I then also want to point out UUSD Esports Navy going from Division 4 playoffs to the first seed here in Division 2. Navy has been a force to be reckoned with, having the new introduction of a new key ace on their team. It has been playing in those California tournaments, as previously mentioned, and doing exceptionally well. They had a very exceptional entrance exam. I don't remember exactly. I believe they placed in the top 10, if not the top 5, at the end of the entire event. So it's going to be very interesting to watch them develop. Then finally, I just want to mention the Husky Splatsville Knights, who have been a previous Division 1 team and were a middle-of-the-pack Division 2 team last season. That being said, they're now back with 2 different rosters, and both of their teams are here in Division 2. So you'd be very interested to watch these 2 new teams to climb their specific groups and see where they kind of face off. As for the most competitive group to watch, there is a right answer for Division 2, surprisingly, because historically, Group 2 has been the most competitive and batshit insane group to watch in all the CCA League. There has been so many circles of suck in Division 2, Group 2. It's just crazy. And for context, between seasons, you usually see like one team from each group move up to the next division or something. But between season 4 and season 5, you saw 3 teams specifically from CCA League Season 4 Division 2 Group 2 move up to Division 1. That's just how competitive and stacked Division 2 Group 2 always is. So, it's going to be so entertaining to watch this group. You have SplatSCAD, you have veteran CCA teams, Springfield, Ohio. You have Stevens and Death Roll, 2 Division 3 playoff teams. And you have, like I said, Huskies and another Davis team. Like, it's just going to be so entertaining to watch. I'm so excited to just see the absolute just cluster of conflicting results that occur from this group. Do you disagree, OmaZen?
It's really hard to disagree with you when you put it that way. I did have a different group noted moving into this section, though, and I still think they're worth giving a shout out at the very least. That being Group 1 from Division 2. Group 1 has, I feel like it's kind of similar to the rest of this division, and like what we've been saying for a lot of this podcast so far. There are a lot of teams here that have moved up a lot. There's been a lot of competition, and these teams are looking to kind of potentially prove themselves and make it to Division 1 and compete with some of the most elite CCA teams that currently are around. In there, we have UCF Aeronautics, the sister team to Night Sharks. They've had quite a few decent results lately. In particular, they've been getting some good tournament results, I guess more scrim results, technically, in CSC. So shout out to the CSC. And they also did pretty good in Low Ink January, ultimately getting top 8 in the Epsilon bracket. So shout out to them. Once again, we have Splatlanders. I don't really have too much more to say on them. I think that they are going to really prove themselves this season and show what they're made of. And then we also have Walk from last season, where they first jumped into the fray. Aquatic Little Creatures in particular, to those who aren't following the acronym. But they've been performing pretty well recently. They did have a shakeup, though, where they lost 2 of their players and gained new one back. But despite all that, they've been really grinding and training a lot recently. Aquatic Little Creatures in particular is also a Purdue team. So, as a Purdue student, I have to cheer them on and rep them. And I really hope they go far. And yeah, that's what I would have to say. Overall, it's kind of hard to go wrong with any of these groups, though. If you followed just a single one randomly, you would be entertained with what you got. And there would be a lot of interesting matches to follow as well. So, yeah.
Indeed, you cannot go wrong here. Let's move it up to the top dogs of CCA Division 1. For those of you who weren't there for the reveal show, Division 1 looks a little bit differently than it did last season, as there are 3 groups of 6. This means that the top 2 teams from each group will be moving on to playoffs, and then 2 of the 3 third seeds in each group will also move on based on tiebreakers across the entire division. So it's going to be very crucial for us to follow and recognize the standings of that third seed this division to see what teams are in that hunt for those wildcard spots. As for kind of the notable teams I have, immediately my mind goes to Skyfall and Krona and OmaZen. Skyfall is the first team out of Middle Tennessee University, I believe. I might have screwed up that.
No, that is right. Yeah, you got it.
Thank you. They had an absolute bonkers entry exam 3. Very much finishing, I believe, in the top 5, top 10 range again, boasting some impressive victories over some previous Division 2 competitors that gave them some issues. It looks like they have revamped the roster, and they are here to, challenge these Div 1 veterans. Additionally, Krona and OmaZen has finally escaped Division 2. They've been playing Division 2 since Season 1 and have finished second the last 2 seasons in a row. So they are very much glad to be out of that personnel hell and here in the big dogs of Division 1. I'm very excited to see what they can cook up and see how far they can go. The one last team I want to mention is GMU Patriots. Now, if you think back to the infamous podcast episode 8, DRF Snow and I very much talked about how notable GMU's second place finish in Division 3 was, with the storyline being from a kind of an unknown team in the past seasons to really grinding it and showing their strength in last season. And we ended that little tangent talking about how, it's going to be exciting to see what they do in the offseason, how far they can go. And, spoiler alert, they have been cooking in this offseason with the addition of a brand new mid-level backline player with Sayu and some absolute bonkers CSC runs and scrims. So they very much deserve this Division 1 placement based on their entrance exam 3 results, and it's going to be very exciting to see them go against some of these top dogs and fight for that 3rd place slot. So those are my picks. What about you, OmaZen?
Yeah, so I completely agree with a lot of your choices. There are a lot of cool teams that we've had for a long time or have popped up recently that have really made a name for themselves. Skyfall, namely, with a good track record recently. Krona and OmaZen, as per usual, being a pretty cool team, pretty great team overall, strong team. But I wanted to highlight 2 other teams that you haven't talked about just yet. First off, I wanted to note Red Embers. Red Embers, in my opinion, has been one of the most interesting teams to follow since I believe they debuted last CCA season. I guess correct me if I'm wrong, Krona. But
no, they debuted last season. Yes.
Yeah. But the past few months they've been grinding really hard. They performed pretty well overall last season in Division 1. However, they want to very clearly cement themselves as a CCA League division winner. In Entrance Exam 3, they were able to get a win over PSU Blue, for instance, in a 2-1 match. They also got a win against UCSD Navy, which is Division 2, I believe, this season. They also have had really good SOS runs this season with a Hammerhead bracket run recently. So they've just been putting in the work very clearly. We have much of the same players from last season, such as Corona Beer, Cliff, Bread Good, and Zolo. So I'd keep an eye on them. I think that they could very well end up winning Division One this season, especially since PSU Blue had to shift some players around and update their roster a little bit. So keep an eye on them. Red Embers is going to be my personal team to watch out for sure. But I also wanted to note one more team, and that is the Drexel Dragons from Drexel University. They were able to get third place overall in Entrance Exam 3, which is very impressive. They've been really working at it. And in CCA Season 3, they were in Division 2 and were able to get second place overall. So it's been a hot minute since they've had a good CCA run, but moving into this season, I think that we can expect a lot of cool things from them as well, even though we don't have too many results to work off of overall. Their recent work has really shown that they are a team to keep in mind, and if you're playing against them, maybe even fear. So keep an eye on those two. Those are my teams to watch out for. And if you don't mind, Krona, I'm going to go ahead and note a group that we should also all be looking at. Group 2 of Division 1, I think, will be the most competitive group overall. We have PSU Blue once again. They're really just as scary as they've ever been, although, as I mentioned previously, they did have to shift some players around. VCU rebranded Ink Black to Big Fat Sea Cows. So they're repping their brand new team name and energy, and I think that, as per usual, they'll be making a lot of noise here in Division 1. And then, once again, as you were talking about earlier, Krona, we have Carnage Soda Fries. And the other three teams are really nothing to scoff at either. IBC Diamond Rays moving up from Division 2 last season, H-Town Rebels doing the same, and GMU Patriots also competing here as well. So that's my personal group to watch, and the one I think will be the most competitive overall. What about you, Krona?
I agree. Group 2 is going to lead to the most interesting third seed implications, because I think those four teams, Carnage, GMU, H-Town, and IBC, are a lot closer than the seeding indicates. And I think that is going to lead to some very competitive and very close matches. And again, only 2 of the 3 third seeds go. So, we could see a situation where all these teams are infighting against each other, and they might doom whoever the third seed is, with just how the standings work for wildcards. This is, in my opinion, the group to watch out the most for in the entire CCA, just because of how these 4 teams are going to interact with each other and the results that's going to occur with them. So I very much agree with you there.
Awesome. We agreed twice. No way. Yeah, maybe that'll happen a bit more as the season continues. Who knows?
We shall see. Yeah. So, that took a tiny bit longer than expected, but we are glad to gush a little bit about some of the unique teams that are here in the CCA. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so my camera stops freaking out, because my computer is not happy about that right now. And we are going to move on to talking with the Savannah College of Arts and Design folks and talking about their program, specifically with Abby, the competitive manager for the for their entire program, and with Small, their captain of SplatSCAD Orange team. So give us just 1 second to bring things up on the stage.
All right, Abby and Smolly, welcome on to the CCA podcast. It's great to have you both here.
Hi, are we?
Yeah, no, we've got you both live here.
Yeah. I wasn't sure. Hi,
good.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, no, we're very glad to have you here. So for the audience members, today's interview is going to be a little bit different than what we usually do for in-season episodes, as we're not talking about a specific team in general. We're going to be talking about instead, we're going to be talking about SplatSCAD's Splatoon program. So again, please welcome the competitive manager for SCAD, Abby, and SplatSCAD Orange's captain, Smally. So a little bit of a short introduction to SCAD. To most of the non-CCA superfans, you probably are hearing about SCAD's program and their teams for the first time here in Season 5. However, while this is their first appearance in a league setting, this isn't their first time actually competing in CCA events. SCAD has previously held the impressively odd title of participating in an entry exam without having actually participated in the following season that the entry exam was for. That being the first entry exam that was right before season 3. And while they have been presumably an active club program for about 2 years now, season 5 is still their first time participating here in the season in the CCA League setting. There we go. That being said, SCAD still has been a competitive collegiate force in the larger Splatoon scene. While they have not participated in the last 2 iterations of CCA League, the teams have been playing in a ton of Splatoon tournaments outside of the CCA, with their teams being very commonplace in tournaments such as From the Ink Up, SOS, and Low Ink. Luckily for both the CCA and for SCAD, CCA's Season 5 schedule has lined up with their own program and their own academic calendar. We are finally able to have them compete in the actual league. With SplatSCAD Black Team in Division 2, SplatSCAD Orange Team in Division 4, and SplatSCAD Yellow Team in Division 5, SCAD is bringing their A game this season, and everyone should have their eyes on their teams and the programs. So, like I said earlier, welcome SCAD to the podcast. So
yeah, we're pretty excited to actually finally be able to play in the league. Last year, we had an interesting program with a manager who ghosted it. So the team was held together by sticks and spider webs. It was
again, we are very glad to have you for this season. So with any introduction I do, I'm usually bound to miss or misrepresent something. So with that in mind, would you mind kind of introducing yourselves, who you are to SCAD, and telling us a little bit more about SCAD's program? Oh, I think we lost Abby.
Yeah, I think we lost
Abby's gone.
Oh no.
No. Are you guys still able to hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I don't know what happened. Okay, it just refreshed. Okay, it's back.
We got you back. You've reappeared magically.
That was wild because I saw everyone disappear and I was like, oh no. Okay, do that again. I'm Abby. I've been playing Splatoon for a pretty long time. Picked it up in Splatoon 2 and played for a couple of teams over the time. But when Splatoon 3 came out, it was the first Splatoon game that actually worked on our university's Wi-Fi network. There was always an interest in the game here at the school, but no one could play it over the campus Wi-Fi, and most people live on campus, so it was just kind of yeah, it's a neat game, but we were never able to get a program going for it. But Splatoon 3 works, and so we started up a whole subsection of the gaming club for Splatoon, and it's first year was a little rough. We did not have a great manager for it, but this year it's much stronger. it's actually getting the attention it needs. And so what I do for the club is I run a lot of events for it, and I coach for our teams. I'm not allowed. It's a school rule where you're not allowed to play for the team if you're running the program. I think there's probably some issue in the past with favoritism, but that type of thing. So I just run everything for it, and I'm really happy for our teams. They've made so much progress this year. We really wanted to play in season 4, but we start really late in the year. Our school's on a quarter system, and so we don't start until after Labor Day. And the gaming club would not let us run tryouts until at least 2 weeks into the school year. And so at that point, season 4 had long since started. So we just got our teams together and started grinding to get some results together so that we would be able to have a strong start for season 5.
You've certainly done that as well. It's very glad to hear that, despite the difficulties you have in the past, SCAD's program seems to be off to a really good start this season and this academic year. And like you said, we're very excited to have you both here. Smalley, would you like to introduce a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, hi, my name is Smalley. I'm the team captain for the SplatSCAD Orange team. I've been on the team since last year, but I was a sub as on the team for the 2 teams last year. But I've kind of taken on the role of managing the battlefy and just kind of helping find scrims. So I've been kind of like the team captain for our team. So it's been a great experience trying to learn everything and just generally just learn how to be better at the game since this is my first time being more competitive. So it's been a great experience and just like a really fun time with my teammates and everything.
Wonderful to hear. So as I alluded to in the introduction we gave you, SCAD has had some longevity as a Splatoon program without being a very active player here in the CCA as of yet. And I wanted to dive into this a little bit further and hopefully try to highlight some of the rich history SCAD has had with Splatoon in general. So kind of a little bit to cover what you said there, Abby. How has SCAD's program kind of started and how has it grown since its initial days into what it is now?
So the first year that we ran it, it was rough. But, the core group of players that we had that stuck around and came to practices and came together to play in some tournaments every now and then was a really, really great group of players we had. And so we kind of built off of that for the following year when I took over the program. We ran tryouts and we had, I think it was 39 people sign up for tryouts, which was insane to me. I think it's, we're an art school. Like Splatoon and like art just like...
Oh, totally.
There's a big overlap there.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people have like an interest in it, but a lot of players that signed up for it didn't actually have any competitive experience, which is fine. And so it was really, really cool to be able to have like so many people come together for this game that we all like a lot, and build a program with it. We have so many different like skilled players, levels of skilled players like at the school, and everyone's just like so fun, so wonderful. It's great to have people around, and it's really, really like brought a lot of us together, and we hang out outside of the game and do fun things together, and I think it's been a really great program to have and see it grow, and I'm really, really happy that it is where it is now because it's just grown so much, and I'm just so happy to see that growth with the program.
Would you like to take the next question?
Oh, I'm sorry. Remind me of the next question.
Oh, good.
Oh wait, I'm so sorry. Wait,
I got like lost in like talking about how wonderful the program is.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I was like processing everything you were talking about and like kind of reflecting a lot on my own experiences because I'm one of the admin for the Purdue program for Splatoon.
Mm-hmm.
So it made me think about a lot of like the stuff we've helped build and just how that's all been. So I think it's really exciting that you guys have been able to make so much progress over the past like really just few months, really, right? Because you started like hitting your stride really in October.
Yeah.
So seeing like the amount like everyone's been able to grow, all the interest there's been in it, that's really exciting. And I'm so happy for you guys that you've been able to make this much progress. And I'm so happy that we can help 3 of your teams compete for the next few months through the CCA. So yeah, we're really happy to have you. And I'm going to go ahead and take on our next question here. So, how large of a role does your program have at SCAD? This could
Oh,
be kind of relative to the esports sort of deal, or it could just be kind of in general in the social scene, maybe. So, like, how many people get involved with it overall? Just like, how's that been?
yeah. Well, SCAD has two gaming programs. We have our varsity, which is the esports program that we have here, and then we have our club, which is part of the gaming club. And as of the club, we are the largest group within the gaming club in terms of the video games that they provide activities for. Uh, I believe I know there's over 100 people in our Splatoon Discord server for the school. Um, but I couldn't tell you how much are in the other ones, but I do know the amount of people who have the role for it within the main hub server. We're sweeping by like at least 40 people. It's really really insane to see such a big program come from this game. Um, we're trying really really hard to build a varsity program for our team so that our players can get like a little sliver of a scholarship um, for playing this game.
Oh, totally.
That would be really really wonderful, but we have to get like results and stuff for that. So we're really working hard for it to get our players some extra recognition within the programs here at the school.
Um,
We
oh,
I was
go
gonna
for
say
it.
we also like run things outside of the team with the game. So we do like little game nights and stuff, usually every
Yeah.
Tuesday, where people who don't just play for the team, but people outside of it can come play the game if they want to, and it helps build more of a connection with our players outside of their team. So it builds interest for like the following year. When we have people eventually go off and graduate, there's new people who go, "Hey, I know these people. They're good to hang around. Like, I'd like to play with them, like on the team." And uh, I think it's really cool because it's really building a stable foundation for the program to continue running years to go.
Yeah, and like you were kind of saying, it's a lot about community, right? Like building a group of people that, can, like, even if people graduate, like, that community's still going to be there, still going to be strong.
Yeah.
Bringing in new members and just great people that, hopefully, like, friendships can blossom and, just a lot of great vibes overall. You're kind of starting to talk about this a little bit, but I want to dig a little bit deeper into it. Can you talk a little bit about kind of the more specific non-competitive stuff that the SCAD program does and what makes your program potentially unique to other schools, at least to your knowledge?
Well, I mean, we do, like I said, we do like our weekly game nights,
Yeah.
where we usually run like some theme of every night, some theme for every night. Sometimes it's like you can only play, like for Valentine's Day, we did Galentine's Day, where everyone can only play a Gal weapon.
Oh, that's funny.
Smalley is a Gal player, so she had a very good time with that one. Um, but it's just general interesting events, new theme like every week, so that it gives some life to a common thing that happens. So it's not just like the same old like, oh, gonna go fight the comp players again. Like there's usually something that's different about it that throws off everyone, because a lot of times it makes people play weapons they don't main, which also helps our players like find like if they want to play a new thing, if they tried it during this game night and it's like, hey, this was kind of fun to play, I might start grinding this and thinking about the game a bit differently because of it. um but we also do just like gatherings like in person, hanging out together, playing non-Splatoon games, because goodness, we need a break from it every now and then.
Yeah, there is such thing as too much Splatoon, for better or
There
worse.
is, yeah. Uh, but the gaming club usually runs a lot of the more, I guess, neutral games where it's not like Splatoon. It's not. We have a Valorant, an Overwatch, League program and stuff like that too. And they run things like Jackbox games for us, or since we're at art school, we do a lot of what's it called? A Gartic phone. Blanked on that for a second.
That makes a lot of sense, especially with the Splatoon crowd.
But I think our program. I don't know. I like to think that a lot of Splatoon programs all over have a good community because it's just probably the best community that I've seen for competitive games online, like ever. And so I don't think that really sets us apart because I think it should be the standard. But it is really, really nice to have such a great group of people because we don't really have drama and problems within the program because everyone just gets along so well.
Oh, it's wonderful to hear kind of the friendships and community that come out of a Splatoon program. And that's kind of something we discussed last episode of the podcast, where we dove into a lot more details about what Splatoon programs are and how to grow them. But it's good to hear that SCAD has those similar foundations, and that while you are there to love and compete at the game, but you can also find other stuff to do and just enjoy each other's company as well. So kind of moving on to the more competitive side of things, SCAD currently has 3 teams participating in Splatoon events, those being SplatSCAD Black Team, Orange, and Yellow. You alluded to earlier having quite a numerous amount of tryouts, and I'm kind of curious, was the plan always to just have 3 teams, or did that number just kind of naturally come about during recruitment and the tryout process?
Previously, we only had 2 teams. And historically, with all the other SCAD like game teams, they'd only have 2 teams. They had to give us a new color to name our team because we had so many new people. They were like, wait! Like, if you want to do a 3rd team, we need to give you a color. Like, they're very specific on a color, I guess, for team names. But yeah, no, I had to get like special permission to have like a 3rd team for us. Which
that's really cool, though.
Yeah, like I
flex that we got the 3rd color for the esports stuff.
We set the standard within the club. But yeah, like man, if we could have had more, I would have loved that. But I'm very happy with 3. I also have to manage them all, and 3's a lot, but it works. It works somehow. But I'm just. We had so many people at tryouts. Like it was wild. I've never seen that many people in a VC before.
I gotta ask real quick. Was the 3rd team that you had to add Orange?
No. So historically, the Black team is like your like stacked team. Yeah, like that's. Yeah. And then the Yellow team was like your team that would follow up the Black team as players started to graduate. But they stuck the Orange team in the middle between Yellow and Black. So now the Orange team is that follow up, and the Yellow team are our players who are pretty new into the game and they're learning the ropes. And our Yellow team is doing really, really well right now. And I'm really happy for them because a lot of them started on stick controls and they're doing fine on motion now. So they've made huge progress.
Definitely a transition to
yeah, and their positioning, they've gotten so much better with their positioning, and they just have better comp synergy than anything that they started with, and it's just been really, really great seeing them improve so quickly. Same with our Orange team. We have new people on our Orange team this year that weren't on the Yellow team last year, and they're just able to adapt and fill these roles like so well, and really, really happy with our players for just adapting and playing the game and having a good time with everyone, and it's great.
All right. So I also wanted to talk a little bit about your teams and how they seem to have kind of a wider range of abilities and skill levels. How do you, kind of as a kind of coach and manager, ensure that each team is getting the proper amount of support they need to kind of grow as competitive players?
So, my actual job, like outside of like this, is I do coach like professionally. I'm paid to coach.
Okay.
And so I use a lot of that I have learned like over the years of coaching um, to work with the teams. And so the big thing that I always uh, immediately teach is I start to teach to build awareness so that players are able to find what it is that they need without wasting time, like trying all these different things. And so, uh, we analyze how games are going for the teams and figure out what's working, what's not working, needs to have what there needs to be more of in terms of just your general basics of your game strategy. And the teams will try these things and they'll be able to tweak themselves as they try out different comps, as they try out different play styles, as they try different players with their comps, so that they're able to start building each other up and also just feel more confident in their skill because they're able to do it like in the moment, I guess. Um, but we also have we have a couple of other players who help coach within the club as well, and so there's always a lot of back and forth between all the teams about like advice for certain things and playing against each other and playing side by side so that they can learn like new things off of each other. And it's really great because they're able to help support. And then we do weekly practices where we all get together and we'll either play some games together and try new things out, or we'll go over talks about new things to introduce and teach to the teams, and um, also just I don't know. I'm kind of like trailing off now.
Yeah, no, that's all good.
But
Yeah. I kind of wanted to also take a step back, if you don't mind, and look at some of the more particular teams too. And since we have Smalley here, like, why not ask a little bit about how SCAD Orange has been doing? So, as kind of as sort of the pseudo team captain role, what have you been kind of mainly doing to kind of like help the team grow and potentially build relationships with your fellow teammates?
Yeah, so I've been working really hard to try and just make sure I can help relay information and get everything down correctly, just so I can have scheduled tournaments and times perfectly laid out and everything. And also just working on myself as well, so we can all help each other grow, especially since we all kind of are a mix of older players and new players. I just want to help all of us grow and all of us learn to help build around each other as well, since we're all still trying to figure out our own like play style and what weapons we want to actually solidify.
Yeah, like what weapons in particular it's like jive the best with you, and like how do you like lean into those with your teammates?
Yeah, so I'm mainly a support player, so I mainly use NZAP and T-Tech Splatter Shot, and I've already been getting some coaching about being more support with painting, getting those strikes out or getting those coolers out, just making sure I can help paint underneath my teammates, the back lines, just making sure I can help aid teammates and make sure we can take fights on and not kind of just like stray off by ourselves and just be a team together.
Great, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
support.
all awesome. Yeah, go ahead, Krona.
Yeah, I was just gonna say support is a very vital
Yeah.
role to the team and its comp. Kind of a follow up question. Is this your first year with SCAD, or were you there? Were you? Did you participate the previous year?
I was a substitute player for the last
Yeah.
team on yellow team, but I kind of played the entire time because we didn't really have people on that team show up practices, so we couldn't really do tournaments either. So I've been there since the beginning, yeah.
Fantastic. Then this question is right up your alley. From an outsider perspective, we've seen a lot of SCAD in the last academic year than the previous one. Albeit probably because of your change in the competitive manager and such. I wanted to ask kind of you personally, like how has this affected you and how have you seen, the growth of your program and how has kind of your thoughts on the shift and how it's been kind of for the better?
Yeah, honestly, this year has been so much better with Abby managing and helping us, get in step with practices, making sure everyone shows up with all reliable players. And honestly, it's just it's been such a more positive mindset, I guess. It's just I'm enjoying it a lot more. Hanging out with them is because they're my friends now. It's just a great opportunity, and it's just been a great time, and I'm happy with how it's been going with the progress of outside tournaments and then just now starting CCA.
Yes. And like I said and alluded to many times before, your teams have very much been participating in those outside tournaments, mainly black and orange. I've seen y'all around everywhere, whether that be low ink. I can't remember which one. I definitely remember one of you winning or getting podium in it from the ink up, at least at some points.
That was the black team, yeah.
Yeah.
But with that in mind, and how you're kind of coming from this unique perspective of being a collegiate team that's primarily focused or had experience in external tournaments, and now coming towards the CCA for Season 5, I wanted to ask you, well, both of you, how would you describe your relationship to the CCA, and has the CCA been a driving force for your club's development with its collegiate-only perspective, or have your teams kind of been more focused on the larger Splatoon scene in general?
So I would definitely say CCA is our bigger focus with the team. We did a lot outside of it to build some results to be prepared for CCA, but it's kind of the more important result, I would say, for building a stronger program here at the school, since it's against other universities. The school itself sees that as a stronger foundation instead of against pickup teams that no one knows if these are even university students. But I also think it's really neat because CCA is against other universities. There's a stronger sense of community, I would say. We found out about teams near us that we had no idea had programs when Season 5 rolled out. We're just like, oh my gosh, we should get in contact with these teams. This would be really neat to plan something with them. And not only that, but everyone's our college student here. So I don't know. It doesn't feel like there is. I can't really describe it. It just feels like other people also kind of get the university. We're all in school studying, and you can't always play this game, and so it has a more. There's a more community to it, or I guess camaraderie, with all of us, still playing this game that we enjoy, but also trying to get our degree. So
that is the goal at the end of the day.
I feel that a lot.
Yeah. With that in mind, how closely does kind of SCAD follow the happenings in the CCA as a whole? Are you familiar with some of the other collegiate teams, the notable collegiate teams, and do you recognize them when you run into them occasionally in tournament?
So we're familiar with the VCU teams just because we have had a wildly larger amount of matches against them for whatever reason. Matchmaking just always sticks us up against those teams. And usually we end up having to scrim them because someone will put out a notification for a scrim, and it's yeah, we'll scrim. So we're familiar with them just by the amount of times that we've had run-ins with them. But But like I said, like we found out about like new teams near us that we didn't know about, and so like now we want to learn more about these teams. And it's just, I don't know. I think it's really neat that we get to like find like all these other teams that are also in school just like us, and get to play against them.
One of my favorite topics to talk about within the CCA has been these unique relationships and bonds that form between schools with their Splatoon programs, whether it be like scrim partners, like just friendly people that form pickups and such. Like you were saying, the CCA is a very unique community within the Splatoon scene, and it's wonderful to see new teams come here, form relationships and meet new people. So it's good to hear that you have some recognition of some of the CCA players here, and I'm sure that many more people will start to recognize the SCAD teams as the season progresses. So
yeah, I mean,
I'll say another team that I
go
quickly
ahead.
learned about.
Yeah.
Another team I quickly learned about was DePaul, and their their jokes. They seem like a fun group. But
we always appreciate DePaul.
Yeah. They really made themselves known last season, and they really kept running with it. So that's like the really clean way to put it, I suppose.
Yeah, a friend of mine that I made through CCA was like, "Oh, wait till you hear about DePaul." I was like, "Well, what's this about DePaul?"
You love DePaul.
Yeah.
But I was also really excited to hear that they had like 5 teams. I was like, "Whoa, we need to build 5 teams to rival this. We have the interest.
We need 2 more colors. We need to add.
Yeah.
We need to keep pushing it and be like, okay, guys, we need to keep raising the bar. We need to beat
what if we just do 6 teams and then we're the team with the most teams?
Exactly. Yeah, but I kind of wanted to cover one more topic to kind of help close off our interview. Does SCAD currently have any CCA role models as you've kind of been learning more about the scene? And is this maybe a collegiate team? Is this a player or players in particular? And this kind of goes for both Abby and Smalley. Just anyone that really pops out to you.
I'm not entirely sure, honestly. We've only recently started getting into the CCA scene. But I do think that our players and our teams just have a really, really good time watching all these games that happen, and just seeing interesting plays within games. And I remember there was one night we were all over at my apartment, and we were watching I think it was the finals for a Ludi set on the
Banana
TV.
Split. Yeah, Banana Split.
Yeah. And we were all just going nuts. We're just like, oh, this is so cool. Just getting really excited for watching all these exciting games happen. And I don't know. I think that is more so the, I guess, outlook of the team towards the community is we just like watching exciting stuff. And I don't know. We really work to kind of just establish ourselves as our own, group, our own little community within the thousands that exist within this community. We all really like our group that we have, and just have a nice time watching the scene around us.
That's awesome. I mean, I can definitely agree with the banana split comment, and just all the exciting games that like over the past few seasons that we've seen. Outside of just the CCA, like Ludi has been doing some amazing things recently, especially with Splatoon tourney. Um, Proton Splat League, which is another Splatoon league, they've been doing some interesting things as well. So it's really hard to go wrong with any collegiate match, game, or just even general competitive game. I'll throw it over to Smolly too. Are there any teams or players that have popped out as like, oh, you guys are like, really great role model, or just someone that you're like, oh, you're pretty cool, or just something like that.
Yeah, so before the CCA season started, I really wanted our team to help warm up against previous CCA teams in season 4. So we scrimmed against the VCU's Virality, some newer teams that eventually actually ended up in Division 4 with us. So it's just like a nice placement to see like people we've scrimmed against that have like kind of placed in our div with us. And one team that I'm actually excited about is the team that we're going against this weekend, which is Kraken Cove. Because while talking with them, they've been in CCA for such a long time, and I think it's just a great experience, and just I think it's a good opportunity to learn how CCA will work. And I'm just excited to possibly expand and possibly play against the people we scrimmed against more. Yeah.
Fantastic perspective to have. And you also alluded to a little bit of our last question here, that being kind of what matches excite both of you for the SCAD teams for the future in the regular season. So you mentioned Kraken Cove. Is there any other teams in your regular season? And then Abby, is there any teams that you have your eye set on for Black and Yellow to face up against?
Yeah, I'm. Oh,
You go first, Molly.
Another team that I'm excited about is the Tiger Prawn team, because funnily enough, one of my teammates knows somebody who knows like the team captain for that team. So I'm going to possibly reach out to them and possibly, try and scrimmage with them a couple of times. And I think it's just like a fun time because we played against Tiger Sharks in entrance exams. And I think it's kind of like funny that we got placed with one of RIT's teams in our group. But yeah, other than Kraken Cove, I'm excited to play against Tiger Prawn.
Yeah. For the yellow team, I'm just really excited to get them to see, or I'm just really excited to get to see them play like so many games. It's going to be an interesting setup for them. One of our players is actually going to go study abroad. So
That's exciting. All right.
yeah, it's really exciting. But scheduling is going to be an interesting one with him.
Yeah.
But he's super excited for it. I'm really excited to see them finally get to play like consistently, because they've been putting in so much work and practice, and they don't always get to play in tournaments. Mostly out of like their personal preference. But I'm really excited to get to see lots of games come from them, and they have been. I don't know. I know the other teams are excited, but I don't think they're as excited as the yellow team is. I see them talking about it every single day, which makes me very happy to know that they get to play so much now. For the black team, I'm personally excited to see them go against the Husky Knights Gold team, because a very good friend of mine plays for them, and so I will be the most obnoxious person in their Twitch chat that day. That is my goal and my mission. In addition to we have a very good friend who plays for their purple team. The black team isn't playing against them in their group, but hopefully they'll play against them in playoffs. But I'm very excited for the Husky teams. I'm also very excited for Springfield, Ohio, because I have another friend who plays for that team.
Oh no!
So I'll be following up with my duty of being the most obnoxious person in Twitch chat for that game as well.
Yeah, no. I mean, again, like I alluded to earlier in the show, Division 2, Group 2, that's where all the action happens. And SCAD Black is right there in it. So I'm very excited to see how all three of your teams do this season. And it's wonderful that, SCAD can finally compete in the CCA League season. And we're very excited that you're as excited as we are to be here this season. Wrapping things up, thank you so much for this lovely interview. It was a pleasure to talk to both of you. Do you have anything you'd like to plug before we let you off the stage?
Smalley, do you want to go?
Oh. I guess. You can go first, Abby.
Oh. Okay. We do have a team Twitter. It's just SplatSCAD. I am also personally, we're in art school. I'm an artist. I'm involved with a couple of art projects that happen, outside of the school within the Splatoon community. The one I'm gonna plug is there's this fanzine, which is like a giant collection of artwork and writing, and just contributions from like so many people. Called Title Rush Scene. It's about the Squid Sisters. We're like still looking for contributors for it. So if anyone knows artists or writers who have an interest in the Squid Sisters, they should go check that out. But our team Twitter, SplatSCAD, is pretty new, but we're building it.
Sick. Anything to add, Smalley?
I just want to say, as for some people in our Discord chat, they just want to say, we're all strong. Orange team, yellow team, and black team. We're all strong. It's a good catchphrase, but yeah, we're all excited to be here, and I'm excited for this season and how it'll go.
Thank you so much for joining us for this discussion. Again, it was lovely to have you and to discuss the future and the impact of SCAD for the season. So, good luck with managing and competing this season.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, and we will go ahead and bid farewell and move along to our Week 1 match preview, right, Krona?
We are.
All right.
As expected, there's a lot of things happening this week. And by a lot of things, I mean a lot of reschedules already being used. As of 6 p.m., there was 19 individual reschedule that's being used for matches. This is obviously probably due to the spring break effect, as a lot of schools are kind of in this weird limbo, either having it, not having it, or coming up. I know WPI's was last week, and I believe Purdue's is this week, OmaZen?
Yeah, I'm currently on spring break right now, which for people who pay attention to at least my background, you will notice that I'm not where I normally am. So, yeah, Purdue's currently on spring break. I'm pretty sure most of the Big Ten schools are also on spring break. So, March is always a weird month. Everyone seems to always be on spring break one week or another. So it's kind of no surprise that a lot of replay schedules are being made right now.
And then you also have the fact that some teams just aren't exactly ready for that week 1 match and want to, practice a little bit more in scrimmage, which is totally fine. As long as you get that match in by the end of reschedule week, that being week 6, all is good. But to talk a little bit about the matchups for week 1, you have the top seeds versus the bottom seeds. That being, you have seed 1 versus seed 6, 2 versus 5, 3 versus 4. So theoretically, you should see a lot of matches being more or less sweeps in favor of the top seeds if we did our seeding correctly, which is always up for contention, as we've seen with previous seasons. So there isn't exactly a lot of standings and such to discuss this week, because no matches have really been played so far, and the seeding is theoretically supposed to be favored in one way. There are some notable matches in each division that probably should be mentioned in some format. So I'm going to start with the discussion of Division 6 and talk about one notable match, that being the NCC Llamas versus the Gluga Gugas. I believe I said that right. And this match is notable for one fact only, is that these two teams are completely brand new teams competing here in the CCA League. Both of these teams have not competed in a previous CCA League seasons, and this will be their first official CCA League match. So it's a it's a moment. It's a moment. Jesus Christ, I can't say the word. It's a large event for both of these teams, and that should be celebrated as we get new teams and players into our league and the Splatoon scene in general. So shout out to the NCC Llamas versus the Glugo Gugas. So OmaZen, would you like to do Division 5?
Yeah, I'd love to. So for Division 5, if any of you happen to remember my top 2 Division 5 teams that I'm looking out for, we actually have a match against them, or against each other, I guess. We have Money Mindset versus Cosmonautilus. This is a rematch of a Week 5 match from last season. It is last season. It was specifically a Division 4 Group 4 match. So they are both now in Division 5, and right off the bat are going to be fighting against each other. And it's worth noting that for those who may have forgotten, that Villanova Splatoon rebranded to Money Mindset and were able to win in Game 7 last season. So very close game last season. Cosmonautilus just barely losing. So with a lot of the recent developments of these teams and how things have shaken up so far this season, either of them are in a really great place to make a strong statement at the very start. So I'm really interested to see what happens here. I'm going to be keeping an eye out for the league results from it and hopefully the stats as well. So I'm really looking forward to seeing them both get into comp again. Secondly, it's worth noting that there is a Shug Splatoon versus SplatSCAD Yellow Team match. Speaking of SCAD, as we just had the coach and Orange team lead on here, SCAD will have their first appearance on the CCA Twitch account this Saturday, with their third team taking on Seton Hall. This match is planned for Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time specifically, and will be streamed on the CCA Twitch. We're excited to see what both of these teams have in store, and really excited to see SplatSCAD get to really rep themselves with one of the first CCA streamed matches of the season. Krona, can you take us? Krona. I'm actually taking Division 4. I'm going to keep running with this, and finally,
for me.
Yeah, no. But I'm actually going to be talking about one of your most loved and maybe debatably toughest loved teams, or teams you've shown a lot of tough love to, being your own WPI Grisco Union Busters versus PSU's Fish. This is a rematch of a Week 1 match from last season. This in particular was a Division 4 Group 2 match. So now this season, we're seeing them both once again in Division 4. PSU originally won 4-2 over WPI. That being said, though, PSU has a slightly different roster, and this WPI team has pulled some impressive feats since Week 1 of Season 4, as we're now already in Week 1 of Season 5. So this will be a very interesting match to observe. The Union Busters are hopefully, or maybe gonna bust the door down and show what they got. And Fish has a little bit of a history that they have to really own and hopefully prove themselves here too. So another interesting match, very much like some of those matches we covered in Division 5. Krona, are you willing to take on Division 3 real quick?
Yeah, but before that, I just also wanted to add that PSU's had a really kind of odd friendly rivalry with WPI recently, with both our first team and second team having faced them in critical matches in Season 4. So I think this kind of matchup here in Season 5 is going to be very interesting, as it's once again a first week match for both these teams. Very interested to see the results for both these teams with Fish's new roster, and then just to see how far the Busters have come. But for Division, I can certainly talk about Division 3, and this is actually a very, very interesting match. That being UNM Esports versus Life Could Bradley Dream. So unfortunately, this match has already been rescheduled. I don't remember. I think it was UNM used to reschedule on this already. But I really wanted to point this match out regardless, because you're actually seeing the two previous Division 5 winners face off against each other. For those of you who don't remember, Life Could Bradley Dream won Division 5 in Season 3, and then UMN just won it last season. So you have the two previous Division 5 winners duking it out here in a Division 3 regular season match. So it's going to be very interesting to see kind of the results of this and see kind of where the teams go from here with that. So again, while it was rescheduled, I wanted to point that out before it eventually got lost in the shuffle that is rescheduled week. OmaZen, would you like to take Division 2?
Yeah, I totally can. So for Division 2, UCSD is going to be showing up with their Navy team, and they're going to be facing off against Shark Attack. UCSD Navy has been taking names in the offseason and really grinding it out. They've been tearing it up in Entrance Exam 3, for instance, and also some of the more recent California lands that the CCA has helped run and document. With the addition of Frazier, I think I said that right. Did I say that right, Krona?
I have no idea. I'm dyslexic.
Okay. Well, you know what? We're running with it. I think that's close enough. It's looking like UCSD Navy will be a key player in Division 2 this season. That being said, they could be face to face against a Division 3 regular, which was Shark Attack this week. Will UCSD Navy start off with Strongfoot, or will UNCG Shark Attack make them start on the back end of the bracket for this season? Only time will tell. And fortunately, we'll be able to know the answer sooner rather than later, and also live, because Falco is set to stream this match on Splatoon Tourney at 9 p.m. ET this weekend. So keep an eye out for that.
Might have made a bit of an oopsie in the script, OmaZen. Falco is streaming a game at the time, but is not the Navy versus Shark Attack match. That will be streamed at the CCA at, I believe, the same time. Falco will be streaming the Table Troop versus Black Bull Sharks White Tips match at the same time. That is my mistake. My apologies there.
Okay. Yeah, we all make mistakes sometimes. Yeah. Regardless, both of them are streaming a very exciting match, and we will be having that on the CCA.
Moving on to Division 1. OmaZen, do you remember the most important and critical group I said that we should watch for
wasn't
Division
that Group 2?
Oh, yes, it was Group 2. And do you know what's also fun about Week 1? You have the third seed going against the fourth seed. And the third seed in Division 1 is the most critical thing ever now.
Yeah.
In Division 2, in Group 2, that is Carne Insider Fries versus the GMU Patriots. My God, this is probably going to be one of the most impactful matches of the week, if not for one of them for the entire season. You have Carne Insider Fries finally making it to Division 1. Now they kind of need to prove to the rest of the division that they do belong there and need to defend that third placement in standings at that moment to even be considered for a wild card later down the season. Their opponents, GMU, is coming off of a super hot streak in Entry Exam 3, and they're a bit of a black sheep up in here, but they're trying to make some waves in Division 1. And you know what? What better way there is to make waves than winning against the suspected third seed of the group. So this match is going to be an absolute critical match to watch, and it's going to be absolutely exciting and hopefully super competitive. So we are very fortunate to be able to stream this match on the CCA Twitch account that is planned for Saturday at 7 p.m. ET. So I, as a person who knows history for both of these teams, it was played against the Patriots multiple times in the last couple of months. This is a match you're not going to want to miss, and you're going to have your eyes on what happens here. So it is going to be an absolutely wonderful match to start off the season with. So that is all we had for our preview this week. Like I said, not much has happened so far, so it's really just a lot of historical matches and then a lot of stuff that could have some larger implications down the line. Kind of starting our closing bit here. What comes next? Well, we are the CCA is streaming this week. We are streaming on Saturday and Sunday. Saturday we have 3 matches matches lined up, those being GMU Patriots versus Carnegie Soda at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. That is then followed by Shug Splatoon versus SplatSCAD Yellow at 8 p.m. And then PSU Blue versus IBC Diamond Rays at 9 p.m. You get the previous Division 1 champion taking on the third place Division 2 team. So all those will be wonderful matches. And we're going to have a lovely triple header planned for that. And on Sunday...
Saturday is super packed real quick. Like, can we just take a step back and really acknowledge that? We have 2 Div 1 matches, or 2, like, really important Div 1 matches. And then we also have the, like, introduction to SplatSCAD for the CCA. Like, that's crazy. I don't know about you all, but you better all tune in for that. That's going to be wild. Sorry,
yes,
Krona. I just had to really point that out.
No, you're all good. I know we have some fantastic commentators for those sets. I know DRF is making an appearance. I believe Kion is here too. Vapor knows better than I would. But like you said, it's going to be a fantastic first stream for the season. Then on Sunday, we have 2 matches on 2 separate accounts. At 9 p.m. on the CCA account, you can catch the UCSD Esports Navy versus Charkatech match. Lovely introduction to Navy and read an introduction to University of North Carolina Greensburg's Charkatech. Then at 8 p.m. on Splatoon Tourney, streamed by Falco, will be Division 5's The Table Troop versus the Bull Shark White Tips. So those of you who are unaware, Splatoon Tourney will be offering some CCA assistance for streaming this season, having occasional more slots on Sunday stream times. So please watch those streams, check out, see what teams are competing, and the great matches to come. If you're interested in getting your own matches streams, please make a stream request for next week. CCA looks to stream between 7 and 9 on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So usually if your match is in one of those slots, we can hopefully try to fit you in if our schedules allow. So I know that stream request is a little bit late this week. We're hopefully going to have it more on time next week, and we want to get our schedules and stream as many matches as possible. So moving on from streaming, the podcast. We're back in the in-season frequency of the podcast, so we're hoping to have another episode next week, specifically probably next Thursday at 8 p.m. ET, as that is our normal time. That being said, please look for an official announcement from us come next Tuesday when we get our co-host, our producer, and hopefully our team to interview figured out more thoroughly over the weekend. So, this was a monster of our first in-season episode, but as always, it's wonderful to co-host with you, OmaZen. Where can the good people in the audience find you?
Yeah, totally. So you can all find me as per usual at my Twitter, which is OmaZen_monkey. That is monkey with a Y. And then you can also find me here on the CCA with my OmaZen account. And then finally, you can also find me on Twitch. I recently started streaming again since I have been getting a bit more deeper into comp again recently. So just same thing as before, it's going to be OmaZen on Twitch. And yeah, what about you, Krona? Where can everyone find you?
Find me at comrade_Corona on Twitter, and me competing with the WPI Grayscale workers or with Caution. So thank you to everyone for tuning in tonight. We really appreciate the crowd. Thank you again to SCAD for joining us for an interview, and have a lovely night, everyone, and enjoy week 1 of CCA League Season 5.
See you, everyone.